welcome back. This is Raven in Real Life on the Home and Lifestyle Now Network, and I'm really making it my mission to show all of Columbus and Phoenix City and the tri-state area. I done messed up, but we're gonna keep rolling.
Let's do it.
Show everybody the person behind the personalities. And now today my guest is Marcus Mitchum, owner of Mitchum Lawn Service. Did I say your company right?
Yeah, we shorten it up, just Mitchum Lawn.
Lawn.
But yeah, Mitchum Lawn Service is fine. It's better for the algorithm, I guess.
There you go.
Searching.
That's the most important thing.
That's right.
So, I wouldn't say, now you don't have a personality page out there on yourself, but I've known you for a couple of months now through a group that we're in together, B&I, and your personality, though, shines so bright. And every time I leave you, I feel like I'm leaving a motivational conference or something.
Oh,
You're
awesome.
So good at that. So I really just want to highlight you for everyone else to get to know you.
Oh, thank you.
So what got you into the lawn business?
To be honest with you, I was 14 years old and I got my first summer job. And, you know, I didn't grow up poor, but I had the type of parents that were like, hey, if you don't have holes in your shoes, you don't need new ones. Well, you know, kids want new shoes. You know, we want cool clothes and all that. So I got the opportunity to get a summer job at 14 years old, and it was tough. The boss was tough. He held everything to a standard, and you know, it was rough. My first time getting a little sunburn and all that good stuff, but you know, I remember one day I got done doing a yard and they called me Tiny, and I was just the littlest guy out there. And he looks at me and he says, take pride in what you do. You know, always take pride in what you do. You know, if all you do out here is push mode, because that's all we allow you to do, take pride in it. And then there was another day, we were on our way into Denny's. He was going to treat us that day. Surprise, we got to eat breakfast on the grass crew. And we're on our way into Denny's, and I look at him and I say, Gary, you know, I'm dirty, I'm sweaty. And he says, our money is just as green as anybody else's inside this Denny's. I don't care if there's a lawyer in here. I don't care if there's an attorney in here. Our money is just as green. And it's not about us being grass cutters, because it's not what you do. It's how you do it. He said, pick your head up. Let's go in here and have breakfast. And it was at that point I realized I did love to cut grass. I loved to throw straight lines down. And I knew it was something not just did I take pride in, but something I could be proud of doing. And I knew at that point, I'm going to own a grass company one day.
At 14 years old.
At 14 years old, yeah.
Dang, that's wild.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of two different motivational things. One, I'm sure you've seen the Steve Harvey thing about you just have to take the leap, you got to take the jump, and he talks about his buddy that has a lawn service, and he started with just a push mower, but now he has this big crew. Have you watched that?
I haven't, but man, I definitely got to check that out.
You need to see it. I'll send it to you. And then also, I'm obsessed with Rachel Hollis and her podcast, and she was just talking about how she was going to hire someone, and the person had on their resume that they had worked for Martha Stewart back when that Martha Stewart magazine was huge, and they were like, you know, is she nice? And the person was like, no, she's not nice. And she was about to just pass her by because of that, and the person was specific, and she was like, no one that worked for her would say that she was nice. She was hard, but everybody walked away a better worker because of working under her. So it sounds like if your boss was kind of hard, like he made you do all the right things, he built you into what you are. Well, you built you into what you are, but he helped to create that initial mold.
Yeah. No, it's so funny. The things that'll stick with us. You know, I do remember him being hard. Every time he turned around, he was so tough. He liked to yell a lot. He probably dropped a lot of F-bombs out there. And, you know, I got used to, you know, I was just a kid, but I got used to being around grown men and how, you know, grown men kind of would conduct themselves, you know, coming in maybe a little hungover some days, you know, not me. I was just a kid.
Yeah.
But seeing some of the other guys, and I would realize at a certain point, that's probably somewhat of why he was how he was. He knew the people he was dealing with, that some guys need to be taught to a little more tough, you know, but at the same time, being one of the guys, it kind of taught me that you got to come on a little hard sometimes, but you also got to bring some softness every now and then too. You
Yeah.
got to show some love because, I remember those days of thinking like, man, that day he gave us breakfast was like I remember that more than I remember all the times of getting yelled at.
Really?
The times of getting yelled at, that straightened you out for the moment. But that time he showed you that love, that was something else. And not just that, but the times that you'd get encouraged. So I try to actually bring that into my business, sometimes to a fault.
Now, so okay, that's the softer side you try to bring in. Are you ever that hard one too?
Yeah, but I'm not good at that. I'm not good at being mean. It could almost come off as a little passive aggressive, or sometimes maybe even a little condescending. But at the end of the day, that's not how we're supposed to be with each other.
Yeah.
That doesn't build each other up. And I noticed, my pastor, Blake Russell, he says it all the time. You'll see who a man is when he's got a lot of pressure on him, or when you give him a lot of money. And that'll bring character out of somebody. That'll bring the true character out of somebody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not animals. We're not a plant that it's going to grow a certain way no matter what. This dog, he's going to fight for food or whatever no matter what. We're humans, and God put a heart of flesh inside of us, and we're able to change. If we realize like, hey, this thing isn't good for us, you're not going to get a good reaction. If you're condescending to Matthias or to Jacob, you need to give him the truth, but then you also need to show some grace and show some love. And then from that, you grow him in a different way.
Yeah.
And my wife, she's literally the brains of the operation. I mean, she's just brilliant when it comes to the business. She's noticed that so many times in me. The days where I come in and I'm encouraging everybody and I'm loving everybody. And she's also noticed the days where 10 different things happen and then a $600 window gets broken on top of it. And I'm ready to just go off. And she'll hear me on the phone and she'll say, Marcus, that version of you isn't who the company needs.
Wow.
Put somebody else in that position right there. Let them do that. Because you, when you build people, you, when you encourage people, you, when you love people, do so much better. When you got to be the bad guy, that's going to mess everything up.
So she is your rock that keeps you in place.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I could tell you where the business would be without her. We could literally pull the date that she came to work with us, and she didn't even know what she was doing. She's lost in it to this date here. I think it's about 7 years. And the year-over-year growth since the date that she stepped into the business, it would just blow your mind.
Wow, that's amazing. See, you need a good woman behind you.
Yeah.
You got one, Andrew. So let's see. Okay, you were talking about a book that you're currently reading. And because I had said before this started rolling, I was talking about how I truly have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm just going for it, and we're going to see where it goes from there. Will you tell me again about what you read in your book?
And I'm listening to it. I read every now and then, and reading, you definitely catch it different than listening. But listening, you could throw it on and you could listen to it 3 times in a row. And you always hear it in a different way the next time you listen to it. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it really talks about, surprising yourself like in life. We got this way that we get up and we put our shoes on a certain way, left foot, right foot, some nuts, they put the left sock on and then the right shoe on at the same, I don't know. But, everybody's got their certain ways, and then they go get their coffee and then they go feed the dog and then they go out the door, and life always stays the same. And he even talks about just switching things up sometimes and kind of surprising yourself. This book, it's really got me thinking big on like the way I look at money, the way I look at people, the way I look at just the things I've got to do, because otherwise we just stay in this habit. And when we stay in this habit, we all want different things. We all want different things, but we always do the exact same thing every single day. But then we're hoping and we're praying, and it's like, You know, it's like that thing of the guy drowning and the guy comes by on the boat and says, hey man, you need some help? And he's like, no, God's gonna save me. And then he says, okay, no problem. And then another guy comes by and he's on a canoe or something and hey, no, God's gonna save me. And then finally he dies and he goes to heaven and he's like, God, why didn't you save me? I thought you were gonna send angels or something. And he's like, bro, I sent you 2 boats. You know, what I mean, you know, but the thing is, we just kind of stay in these habits and we get the same results every day, and we're kind of wondering, like, you know, man, when is my breakthrough gonna come? You know, when is this miraculous thing gonna happen? When do I get my break? And it's like, man, you could actually do something different right now, today, and you don't know what path that'll lead you down tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he talks so much about the words we use and speaking, you know, affirmations, and it sounds like a bunch of woo-woo and all that, but if somebody sits there, you know, it's like my mom when I was a kid. I remember she let me stay up late one night, and you know, she told me, Marcus, you could do anything, and you better believe, like, I was never gonna be like the best NBA player of all times, you know, Michael Jordan. You know, I was never gonna be that guy or anything. But you better believe, like, sitting on that couch in that moment when my mom said, Marcus, you can do anything, I really believed it. I believed I could do anything, you know. And there's plenty of times in my life where you know, I was down on myself and I didn't believe I could do anything. But anytime I think back to that moment of my mom doing the irregular thing and letting me stay up at night, late at night, sitting there watching the news, and I'm just thinking in my head, like, yeah, you know, I'm staying up late, you know, I'm breaking the rules, this is good, you know, but then, you know, I remember those words of her saying to me, Marcus, you can do anything.
You can do anything. Okay, before I let you go, there is something else I really want to hit on about why I really wanted you to come on this show. As a leader in your company, I can tell that you're not just trying to train these people to be the best cutters, whatever, I don't know the words, but it's like you're training them to also, if they want to, branch out and do their thing, or just, you know, just to be the absolute best they can be. So what kind of gave you that mindset of wanting to build these future leaders?
So I knew how that changed me, you know, from my first boss ever at 14 and 15 years old. I knew how that changed me, that encouraging word, you know. Then I worked for a lady as well, and I remember it was after I dropped out of high school, and I was working for her, and her name was Miss Barbara. She passed away. Awesome woman though, awesome woman. You know, I always called her my business mom, and I remember one day I was talking to her, and it was right after I dropped out of high school, and I'm working for her, and she knew I was starting my own thing. I was up front with her, and she even told me, you know, I'll teach you some of the ropes about this. And, you know, it was her that told me to not look down on myself for dropping out of high school. You know, some people were better at going and getting to the workforce. You know, and I wouldn't suggest anybody drops out of high school. I'm making all my kids, you know, my daughter, she's 17 years old. She's going to graduate this year. My son's in college. My oldest son, he's in the Navy. You know, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You can be a backpacker, you know, for your life, you know, whatever fulfills you, whatever like fills that heart up, you know, that's what matters. You know, but not saying drop out of high school. No, don't try to get that early start. That education, you know, if I could go back and do it again right now, it's literally free education. They're having you sit in a seat and you listen to Maestro all day long, you know, and I wish I could go back and listen to what some of them teachers were teaching. And some of even those teachers that could have been pouring into me if I would have just been open to hear it. But one thing I realized in my own company is if it wasn't for some of those leaders that were in my life that looked and said, you know, for one, you could do anything. For two, take pride in what you do. You know, it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. You know, don't look down on yourself for where you're at. You know, be proud of what you're doing. You know, maybe you made a decision that you can't go back on, you know, but that decision doesn't define you. You know, you get to define you right now. Pick your head up and go, do it, and get it done. But about 3 years ago, we bumped into one of our coaches, and he made a comment. He said, in business, especially in America, we got this thing where it's, you know, hey, come with me. You know, that's how jobs go. Come with me and do everything I say. Dress the way I tell you to dress. But don't worry, there's gonna be a little money in there for you. You know, but be here at this time, go home at this time, but don't worry, I'm gonna have a little money in there for you. You know, but no relationship in our life would work like that.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't keep your husband around like that. I couldn't keep my wife around like that. You know, don't worry, you know, wear this, do this, be here at this, and all this good stuff. But don't worry, because there's gonna be some money in it for you. You know, who wants to live their life like that?
Nobody.
You know, you go to work and you're there 8, 10, 12, sometimes it takes 14 hours, you know, depending on like where you're at in life. You know, we need to make money, you know, but it's different when it's, you know, hey, come on with me, you know, oh, where are we going? Oh, we're going over here. We're going to our $3 million. We're going to, Mitchum Lawn's going to buy a shop with a swimming pool in it, and we're all going to swim. We're going to play basketball. We're going to have a good time. This is where we're going. No, bro, this is real. Like, let's sit down. Let's look at the org chart. Let's see where we're at now. This is where we're going. This is our mountain that we're climbing. This is what we're going to do it with. These are our tools. This is how we're going to do it. Yes, you still got to work. Yes, the work is going to be hard. But I need you to understand that I'll always educate you on why we're doing it, you know, what it takes to do it. Hey, you didn't edge this right. Why you didn't edge it right? Because it's my standard? No. You didn't edge it right because Miss Margaret's husband passed away 2 years ago, and the yard was always his thing. And when he passed, she needed somebody to help her out that she could trust. We're going to be them people she can trust. Don't get me wrong. She knows we're not going to do it as good as what Bill used to do it. It's not going to happen, but we're going to try our best.
Yeah.
So I need you to edge that yard a little better. Can you do that for me?
I love it. Did I tell you I'm an emotional person? You're going to make me cry over Margaret and Bill here.
Well, those are just hypotheticals. But you wouldn't believe how many times things like that really do happen.
Yeah.
Where somebody calls up and they say, you know, husband passed and this was his thing.
Yeah.
And I do have to tell them straight up, like, hey, we're never going to meet his standard, but we'll be here. We'll be accountable. We're going to answer the phone. Even, and some of them, they say, I hate to bug you again. And I tell them, Miss Margaret, Fortune 500 companies pay consultants to come in and tell them what you're about to tell me. So let it rip. And sometimes they cut you a little deep. Sometimes these ladies, they can get a little sassy with you. It's not like the grandmas on TV and all that, you know. Sometimes they get a little sassy. But, you know, the thing is, 9 times out of 10, they just want to know somebody cares.
Yes. And I will say, so to end this, I have this true belief that since COVID days and a lot of people stopped working, closed businesses, something has changed in how business owners do things and companies do things. And it is so hard to get a service company on a phone. And I truly believe that if you're even halfway good at something and you're willing to actually be accountable and answer a phone, you could make any business thrive right now. But if you need lawn service, though, call this one right here. So is there any final thing that you would like everyone to know about you?
No, final thing?
Yeah.
No, just I'm on a mission right now to speak belief into my own life, and I think everybody out there should do the exact same thing. I think you need to meditate, pray, and kind of rewire your own brain. Do something today to surprise yourself. That's what I'm looking to do right now.
Love it. All right. Right here, man. All right. Till next time, this was Raven in Real Life on the Home and Lifestyle Now Network.